From translation, Net New English Translation. This 10th day of the year. Today we are reading passages Genesis 30 to 31. Genesis chapter 30, verses 1 to 43. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I'll die." Jacob became furious with Rachel and said, "Am I in the place of God, who has denied you the ability to have children?" She said, "Here is my servant Bilhah. Go sleep with her and she will bear children on my behalf, so that through her I too can build a family." So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and Jacob had sexual relations with her. Bilhah became pregnant and gave birth to a son for Jacob. Rachel said, "God has vindicated me and has listened to my voice by giving me a son," so she named him Dan. Then Bilhah became pregnant again and gave birth to a second son for Jacob. Rachel said, "I have fought a great struggle with my sister, and I have prevailed," so she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah gave birth to a son for Jacob. Leah said, "Good fortune," so she named him Gad. Then Leah's servant Zilpah gave birth to a second son for Jacob. Leah said, "I am happy, for the women will call me happy," so she named him Asher. During the wheat harvest, Reuben went out and found some mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it not enough that you have taken away my husband? Do you also want to take my son's mandrakes?" Rachel replied, "Fine, he can sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came in from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You are to sleep with me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. Leah said, "God has given me my wages because I gave my servant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. Then Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good gift. Now my husband will honor me because I have given him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Afterwards she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel and listened to her and enabled her to have children. So she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Then she said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add another son for me." After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so that I may go to my homeland. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know very well the work I have done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your sight, please stay, for I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He continued, "Name your wages, and I will give it." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have served you and how your livestock has fared with me. For you had little before I came, but it has increased significantly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I turned. Now when shall I provide for my own family as well?" He said, "What shall I give you?" Jacob replied, "You do not need to give me anything. If you will do this one thing for me, I will continue to feed your flock and keep it. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep, every dark-colored sheep, and every spotted and speckled goat. These will be my wages. My integrity will be clear before you when you come to check my wages. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and not dark among the sheep, if found with me, will be considered stolen." Laban said, "Fine. Let it be just as you have said." So that day Laban removed the striped and spotted male goats, all the spotted and speckled female goats, that is, every one that had white on it, and all the dark-colored sheep, and gave them to his sons. He set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob was taking care of the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took fresh branches of poplar, almond, and plane trees, and peeled white stripes in them, exposing the white of the branches. He set these peeled branches in the watering troughs in front of the flock when they came to drink. When the flock was drinking, they would mate in front of the branches, and the animals that mated in front of the branches gave offspring that were striped, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the young ones, and he set the faces of the flocks toward the striped and dark-colored animals in Laban's flock. So he made his own flock separate, not putting them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob would place the branches in the watering troughs in front of the flock, so that they would mate in front of the branches. But when the weaker animals were breeding, he did not place the branches there. So the weaker animals belonged to Laban, and the stronger ones to Jacob. In this way Jacob became extremely prosperous. He owned large flocks, female servants, male servants, camels, and donkeys. Genesis chapter 31, verses 1 to 55. Now Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken all that belonged to our father, and from what belonged to our father he has gained all this wealth." Jacob also noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field where his flock was. He said to them, "I can see that your father's attitude toward me has changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength. Your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled animals will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled offspring. But if he said, 'The striped animals will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to striped offspring. So God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me. Once during the breeding season of the flocks, I had a dream in which I saw the male goats mating with the flock that were streaked, spotted, and speckled. In the dream the angel of God said to me, 'Jacob,' and I said, 'Here I am.' He said, 'Look up and see. All the goats that are mating with the flock are streaked, spotted, and speckled, for I have seen all that Laban has done to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now get up, leave this land, and return to your native land.' Then Rachel and Leah replied to him, 'Is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has surely used up what was paid for us. Certainly all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. So now do whatever God has told you.' So Jacob got up and put his children and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock and all the possessions he had accumulated in Paddan Aram, and he went to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the household idols that belonged to her father. Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was fleeing. He fled with all his possessions and crossed the Euphrates River and headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the 3rd day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled, so he took his relatives with him and pursued him for 7 days. He caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead, and Laban with his relatives camped in the hill country of Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob, 'What have you done? You have deceived me and carried away my daughters like captives of the sword. Why did you flee secretly and deceive me? And why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and with songs, with tambourine and with lyre? You did not even allow me to kiss my daughters and my grandchildren. Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have only gone because you were longing for your father's house, but why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid, for I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. The one with whom you find your gods will not remain alive. In front of our relatives, identify what I have that is yours and take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. But Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the saddlebag of the camel and was sitting on them. Laban searched through the tent but did not find them. Rachel said to her father, "Do not be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up before you, for I am having my period." So he searched but did not find the household idols. Jacob became angry and debated with Laban. Jacob said to Laban, "What is my crime? What is my sin that you have tracked me down so aggressively? Now that you have searched through all my belongings, what did you find from all your household goods? Set it here before my relatives and yours, and let them judge between the two of us. This 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. I did not bring you torn animals, I made good the loss. You demanded compensation from me for what was stolen by day and by night. This is how it was with me. By day the heat consumed me, and by night the frost, and my sleep fled from my eyes. This is how it was for 20 years in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, so he has judged you last night." Then Laban replied to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a memorial pillar. Jacob said to his relatives, "Gather stones." So they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban named it Jegasahaduthah, but Jacob named it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That is why it was named Galeed. It was also called Mizpah, for he said, May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." Then Laban said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar which I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you will not pass beyond this heap and this pillar to me, to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us." Then Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his relatives to eat a meal. They stayed on the mountain all night. Early in the morning Laban got up, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban left and returned home.